Hi, everybody. This is Daniella Rabbani, the host of the Mom Curious podcast. If you hear a third voice today, you can go ahead and welcome back our executive producer, Laura Lucetti. Yay!
So happy to be here today.
She's been busy, you guys, but she's back. We're actually filming in the Hamptons. And
Never too busy for my Mom Curious crowd.
Yay. We have a very special guest today. Aww. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself? Sometimes we've been doing this introduction where I ask our guests, who are you today?
Oh my gosh.
Because I really feel like, especially for the people living in our female bodies, right? Like, we're so different all the time, aren't we?
I'm tired today.
You are? Oh my God, this is you tired. Okay, guys.
Yeah, wait till you see me with energy. Okay, feels surreal. My name is Mindi Smith, and I am the founder and creator of The Little Red Planet, an ethically curated children's boutique in Sag. I'm a single mother. My daughter is 17. Her name is Mars, short for Marley. And I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. It's been like 15 minutes of absolute bliss. I keep having to say, like, we have to pause so the other people can enjoy and learn and, like, experience you. Wow. So tell me about your shop, actually. I'm sure in our cold open, people are already intrigued because sustainability is on our tongues and it's on
the
our
tip
hearts.
of everyone's tongues. And as we were just saying, there is a lot of like greenwashing and marketing and ploys happening. But I do think this is not a bad problem that we're all that this has become a popular thing. I launched in 2018. I was a fashion editor for over 20 years. I worked for big box brands like The Gap, Target. I worked for campaigns like Apple. I did a lot of, in the fashion industry. I was at InStyle magazine, and I saw firsthand the waste that the fashion industry can create.
Can you go into that a little bit? Because we don't know.
Yeah. So, for instance, not to name names, but any company like The Gap or whatever, they have to get in samples. You see the overstock, you know what the stores sell and what they don't sell. I don't know if you've ever gone to Fifth Avenue to a Zara during sale time.
Yeah.
It looks like a landfill.
Yeah, actually,
it's actually quite upsetting, actually.
Yeah. And what happens to those?
The clothes go into landfills, and if they don't get sold. So let me back up. There was a moment where we would take any unused samples and I could go ahead and donate them, and I did back in my San Francisco days. This is in the late 90s.
This is like personally you would do that as
I would literally take them. Yeah, I was my first job there. I was a merchandise coordinator. I used to help with all the photo shoots and everything. That's how I kind of got into fashion. And I would try to donate them. And then they said it was illegal to do that because they weren't properly marked or tagged and they didn't want any liabilities. So those clothes would literally go into a dumpster.
You know, they say that about food also.
It's awful.
And, like, there are hungry people in this country. There are cold people in this country. Yeah.
And then years progressed. I got into my styling career, and I continued to work for companies like Saks and Macy's and Bloomingdale's. And you just see it all around behind the scenes, sort of what happens to the unloved clothing. It's just produced, in order for those companies to make their margins, they've got to produce on a mass level.
Right.
And they're not always sold. It's not always careful. It's a high-risk retail, and a lot of it goes wasted. So for me, that was sad. I didn't want to contribute to that anymore. But I still wanted to work in fashion.
I mean, it's sad, but it's also dangerous.
Yeah. And after having Mars, my daughter, I really became conscious of it, and I decided I wanted to continue in fashion. I wanted to combine my love of fashion and do something for the greater good of the world, and, in the small way that I could, and shift the way we shop, kind of start, educating our children. So I did a children's boutique.
You didn't want to do adults?
I was a stylist. My specialty is children.
Oh, and it's always been?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I did like the Baby Gap, and I did all of that. So
Wow.
my specialty is children. I do work with adult. I loved children's fashion for multiple reasons, but also I do think, so I know it. The buying for me is something that I know. I know the designers well, and I want to celebrate the designers that are doing all the right things.
Do you want to shout them
And
out, by
I
the way?
think sustainable fashion actually kind of started in the kids' world, because think about it. When you've got a young baby, it's not only about the planet, it's about what you're putting on your kid's body. It's about the chemicals. It's about all of that. So,
Well, let's go into that, actually.
yeah.
What chemicals are in kids' clothing that are problematic or could be problematic?
So, for instance, there are certain companies that make tutus, and they put on the sequins with formaldehyde.
What does
And,
formaldehyde do if it's on a
It's toxic. It's highly toxic.
and the skin absorbs it?
Yeah, and workout gear, for instance, a lot of popular companies, about half actually, there's a coating on all the nylon and the lycra, and when you're sweating, it gets into your pores. Just like we now know about deodorant, like being not so great for you, right?
Yeah.
We're starting to learn that a lot of the clothing that we wear also has coating on it. So there's all sorts of, in the kids' world, there's all sorts of really great designers that use bionic finishing. It's no coating. The tanning process with the shoes is chrome-free.
What's
There's
chrome?
So when shoes are, the tanning process, you're emitting, with the leather, you're emitting a chemical during that tanning process. So, and then chrome is what you use to like adhere all the shoe together. And you want to look for shoes that maybe, they're now using Vegetan leathers. They're using chrome-free soles, like, Veja, for instance, which is a highly popular shoe, and thank God, it's a great product.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and it's great. It's using rubber from the Amazonian forest. It's using vegan leather.
Wow.
It's chrome-free. We need to start thinking about, that. But for me, it was also just starting simple with using organic cottons, in the fabrics, tensile cottons, bionic finishes. A lot of the swimwear and the outerwear for children's clothing is now made with recyclable plastic from the ocean.
Yeah, the
So they're
Moncoeur.
taking the plastics out of the ocean. They're using them in a really productive way and turning around and making all sorts of nylons, outerwear, rain gear, swimsuits, with this. It's using polyelastane instead of polyester.
And polyester's bad because I don't even know.
The process of making polyester uses up a ton of water. So it's the process of making the clothes that is the dyes used. It's garment dye versus fabric dye. The dyes get into our rivers. It gets into our water sources. It's the process of making, it's using up a lot of water. It's the process of making all these clothes. And I don't even want to get into it. I mean, you can talk about the argument of being vegan versus eating meat. It's the process of raising the cows and the cattle, and it's using up a lot of our resources on this planet.
And the fast fashion is the issue. I'm really
Yeah,
I want to be like so transparent because
and I'm going to do my best to explain, but I am not an expert. I am learning this.
I mean, it sounds like you're a pretty expert to me.
I'm learning this in real time, though,
Yeah,
like
me
teaching
too.
myself. So I was curious. When I launched in 2018, I didn't know anything. And a lot of the children's designers, I'd go around to the trade shows, a lot of them didn't know anything. And we grew together. I have companies now, they're like, Mindi, we've moved our manufacturing out of China. Not that China's bad. There's great manufacturing in China and India. I don't want to make a sweeping generalization, but there's a lot of people that have moved it to Portugal, or they're doing it locally. Obviously we want to try to get that process with the least amount of shipping and travel and carbon emissions, and we want to keep things localized. So, for instance, a Spanish designer will get it manufactured in Spain or Portugal, France in France. And they're slow factory. They're ethical factories where there's fair trade, there's coarser trade, there's fair pay. You want to make sure from your buttons to your bike messengers that your company is doing the right things. And so the Little Red Planet, I have probably over 30 global designers that are all doing these things. So my criteria was pretty strict. It was they need to use organic products organic fabrics or materials wherever they can, ethical practices in place, slow factory manufacturing where they're, trying to use less water. They're not putting dyes in the river, that kind of thing. Or they're making sure that their workers are legit and paid and cared for. You know, these designers know their factories, and sometimes they own the factory. And then the third thing is I wanted to make sure that the designers were giving back in some way. And I always try to do that as well wherever I can, donating clothes to Ukraine, donating clothes to the local retreat here in the Hamptons, you know, trying to give back in some way. We did a whole thing with Africa New Life when we first launched, where I would get them all the fabric trimmings from my designers so that they could teach, you know, their students how to become designers themselves and make a living.
Do you want to shout out any of those brands, by the way?
Oh my God, there's so many good ones. Minnie Rodini is kind of the grandmother out of Sweden.
How cute are
And
their clothes.
over 22 years, Cassandra's an illustrator. Her designs are unparalleled. Like, it's just super fun and cute. It's very, you know, great. Molo is a great brand that a lot of people know about. They are one that started out not completely sustainable. Now that is their calling card, and it's wonderful to see.
And you can change that in some of the brands that you love. I'm assuming
We just have conversations. We have a lot of conversations about it constantly.
with the brands.
And yeah. I always tell like, hey guys, don't send me any paper materials. Like, I'm paper free here. When you ship me, I don't need the marketing. Like, let's keep it all online. Even the plastic bags that the clothing are shipped in, they're trying to now use a corn-based kind of plastic that's recyclable, or they make the bag where I can reuse it again and again for storage and for organization within my shop. One of the things that I started doing in the shop that I'm kind of proud about, I don't use any boxes to ship out. Like, I'm not actually producing recyclable boxes, because you are still producing. I've had conversations with university professors about this, and they're like, the only way to really truly be sustainable is to use what is already there. So all of my boxes are coming from Amazon or the incoming shipments. I strip the labels. I have a sticker that says I'm a recycled box with my logo on it, and I slap it on, and that's what my families are getting.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm actually using sustainable packaging. I do have the sustainable shipping envelopes for the smaller packages. It's a mom and pop company out of Wisconsin called Salazar. They're amazing. But anyway, back to the brands. Like, I definitely love the New Society out of Spain. I love Bobo Shows. I love the Animals Observatory. I love small little companies like Gt. I love Tia Chobani in New York.
She's great.
Using all natural, you know, fibers, wooden buttons, no plastics. Like,
Why no plastics?
and again, well, look at our oceans.
Tell us.
It's just, so I have one eyewear company out of Copenhagen called Cream, and they use something called True Grass, which is made from rice paddy fields. It's not plastic. It's a fiber that is actually made from rice paddies, rice paddy fields, the grass.
It's amazing.
I know, it's cool.
And beyond the ocean, which of course is like, I mean, on a spiritual level is like a part of our body, but outside of that idea, why are plastics a problem in our children's clothing?
Well,
If we could spell it out, because, you know, you're living on a really high level of consciousness around this, and really you're speaking to someone who understands a little bit, but even still,
okay, so
as
to
the
give
host
you
of
an
this
idea,
conversation,
so
I don't
yeah.
know.
There's chemicals that emit from plastics, and when they get warm, those chemicals seep. So you've got this on your kid's face. You're drinking water out of a plastic bottle. If you've left it in your car, do not drink it. Like, all of the chemicals have emitted into the actual liquid that you're about to intake.
And what does what do the chemicals do on
I
the
mean,
inside?
nobody wants these. I mean, I can't get into it too deep here, but nobody wants chemicals in their bodies. You want anything on your skin, you should be able to put in your mouth.
Right, because it's the largest organ in your body, right?
exactly.
And also,
Yeah.
I think from what I understand, we had a doctor come on who's created a line of dishware that's plastic free, because as you said, it can leach into food. Apparently, it's like a real
well, it's a big deal with baby bottles. So when Marley was born
Yeah.
in 2006, we didn't have that option. And then I remember I was overseas watching the news. I think it was in Israel. Her father's Israeli. And I was overseas watching the news, and they had put a ban on all plastic, like baby bottles. They had already banned it overseas.
Wow.
In the U.S., we were still using them.
I had the
And then they
chills.
had to do the BPA-free plastic bottles. And those came out, I think, in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's all bad. Is it like, look, in this day and age, if you go into Peru and look at the shamans, they're living to 100 years old. If you go to Asia and go into the mountains, they're living to 100.
And with what quality of life?
And it's the environmental toxins that are going to kill us, and the stress.
Yeah. I mean, the stress also, when it does come to plastics, from what I understand from Dr. Mantravati, who did ahimsa, if anyone is interested in the sustainability conversation and wants to go back after this conversation to our conversation with Dr. Mantravati, she says that what we're seeing that children are experiencing so much endocrine disruption.
Yes,
because
endocrinatic disruption. Yes, exactly.
Hormonal
and your
disruption.
endocrinatic system is everything.
Yeah.
You don't want leaky gut. You don't want any holes in that perfect, lining.
Yeah. And it's because of what they're eating, and much of what they're eating is full of plastic.
Yes. It's in the foods,
It's in the
exactly.
foods.
Because, we're doing a lot of takeout. Look, we're all busy moms. It's hard. We all have a lot of pack and go meals and takeout and this and that. But yes,
We
it
do the
is
best we can with whatever choices we
with
have.
what we're given, and
Yeah.
not everybody can, But I mean, for so many reasons, we want to get to a zero waste place where we're, look at the laundry
Yeah.
bottles, the giant laundry
Yeah.
detergent containers.
Yeah.
Now people are onto these pods, and it's a fabulous invention. This is why has it taken us so long to get there?
I'm noticing in the I see that Laura
Well,
has
I was
something
just
to
going to say, the pods are still packaged in the enormous plastic bottle, though, which we could do like a peel-off thing.
Well, they
there could
do
be
have
a better
there
way.
are new companies, and I can't name one off the top of my head.
Okay.
You are right to cite that. There are new companies, but that are coming in these kind of condensed little
Thank God.
packaging. Thank God. And they are making, seventh generation. Marley was always in seventh generation diapers. Thank God they had those then.
Yeah.
Pampers, awful. They emit bleach into the baby's skin.
So
Think
sad.
about their sweaty little parts.
And they're so fresh,
Well, so back to the whole thing.
I'm just, by the way, hugging whatever
So-
mom is holding
Sorry.
her baby in
In
a
a
Pampers diaper,
Sorry,
because
I'm so
I'm one of you. I love you. You are doing the best you can, and I also want to just say that there is an issue of cost.
There is. No,
and I want to
there
speak to it.
is.
There's an
There
issue of
is.
cost.
Absolutely.
There's an issue of availability. There's an issue of who is marketing to us. We were
Yes.
talking before we even got
Yes.
on the air about how we're not looking at Vogue
No.
anymore. We're looking at TikTok.
Yeah.
And what do we see on TikTok? And not just you, by the way, Marley,
The
who's
kid-
17.
Well, I was speaking about Marley, and it's such an interesting conversation. Mars, I grew up looking at the pages of Vogue magazine. I saw what I saw, and then I would search for it. I would save up my money. I would buy it. It was a very consciously consumed item. And I would then wear that outfit to death. and nowadays, kids, they don't have that influence. They're looking at TikTok, some girl dancing from Ohio, and she's just decorated her room in Target. And this is the latest fluffy this, and everything is synthetic and everything is plastic, but that's what the kids are seeing. And she's got 1 million followers, so she must be popular. I want what she's got,
and it is pretty. That's the truth.
Yeah, and it is pretty, and actually it is, and no shame on Target. Target is amazing.
Oh, really?
I go there all the time.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
No, and there are really great products from there, and there's a lot of designer collabs from there, but. It is interesting, though, the way they consume. Mars wants more of everything. She wants a lot of it. I think social media leaves these young teens feeling that they need more.
Yeah. I mean, it's a constant stream of advertisement. I remember also
Constant.
being abroad my senior year of college, and then coming home. And do you know that drive from the airport back home in New York? I don't know
Yeah.
if you've that drive is so epic to me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm home, which was like, and it's so ugly, but it's so beautiful to
we
me.
love it. Us New Yorkers love it.
But I noticed like on the
Can't wait to
radio.
go back to my rat cage.
Totally. I noticed on the radio I was being sold to. On the billboards
Yeah.
I was being
Yeah.
sold to. On the Coke bottle I was being sold to another Coke bottle. On the books I read my children, by the way. This is of course not on the drive home from college. This is many years later, but I noticed that even on the books are themselves there's an ad for the next 5 books. You know, this American culture is built on advertising. My whole career as an actress was paid for by commercials.
Yeah.
So
I was an advertising major. I got many of the campaigns I worked on. I understood completely what we were doing.
and now what's happened is it's on steroids because, you know, of course I say it's on steroids because I feel left out. Like, wait, what happened to the commercials? That was wholesome. But like now it's people selling to us all the time in the name of being our best friend, in the name of telling us everything about themselves.
It's case in point. So it's really interesting. Mars was born in 2006, before Instagram really came onto the scene. And she was one of the last kids to not have a computer in her hand or an iPad in her hand at the age of 3. I think she got her first one at like 10 or 11. And I never let her watch syndicated television. We didn't have it. She was watching like Classical Baby from the HBO series. We had like, you know, streaming or cable or whatever, but she didn't see a commercial until she was probably 7 or 8. So her Christmas lists when she was really young were very simple and sweet. I want a candy cane. I want a doll. I want some books. Like, it was very simple. And then I remember when she got a hold of the Disney Channel. All hell broke
oh my
loose.
God, Disney.
God bless.
All hell broke we love loose. To love them. We love to hate them.
And then I got a request for all of these gifts that were like insane. I was like, do you even know what this is? And we would buy them. She'd play with them for 2 days. We would miss part of it. Like one part would go missing, like a Lego set. Damn the Legos. One goes missing and it's done. Game over. And they're in the trash. And I remember we got her an Xbox one year because
or your house is trash, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's always the case with a young child in a New York apartment, you know. But it was really kind of sad. And then finally, I remember there was a meme that I saw, and it was so true. The Christmas list just became URLs from Amazon.
Right.
I want this, cut and paste. Little kids giving their parents a list of URLs.
Can I ask you both something? Mindi, you'll have an interesting answer because your daughter is 17. You have this to look forward to. Lucky you. We didn't come up this way. I came up like you did, scouring magazines, becoming obsessed, figuring out how to make it, stock it, save for it.
And I think that breeds creativity. I was middling. We were upper middle, but I was the youngest of 3. My parents put 3 kids through college at the same time. There was not a lot of extra spending money. So I went down to Granny Takes a Trip, which was secondhand.
Yeah.
And I remember saving up for that mohair sweater. And then I remember it was punk era back then, in 80s, putting the safety pin, like making it my own and pegging my Levi's and really being creative. And I think that's where the styling came through.
Definitely.
Out of necessity.
Definitely.
You know, it's crazy to me. It's like I think to myself, like, oh, it's how you raise your children. But society raises our children right alongside us.
Yes.
100%.
Because here you are, like, probably the most thoughtful person I know around sustainability, aside from Dr. Mandravati, you know, and your child still grapples with
Oh my gosh. Well,
the
I'll
wanting.
tell you.
We do our best, right?
Motherhood.
We're not God. We're not God.
We're
only
not.
one
And I
person.
think it's one thing to know the knowledge. It's another thing to be able to teach it.
I mean,
My
also from a
daughter
regulated place,
is-
right? Like
yes,
I get frustrated,
yes.
and that's
it's to be able to teach it. So my daughter is incredibly independent, and I, yes, thank you for all of your compliments, but motherhood in the real time, you get frustrated, you lose patience. Sometimes you forget to actually like go through the steps and explain to them why we're doing certain things, She knew I named the Little Red Planet after her. It was meant to be a project that we would do together. And up until the age of 12, when I launched it, She was in fashion. She modeled. She wore all the clothes. She let me dress her. And we were very involved in that aspect together. And then I launched, COVID hit, and
Puberty hit.
a puberty hit. And she was like, no offense, Mom, but my style's not your style.
Oh, I love her.
And
That's how you know you're doing a good job, babe.
I was like, okay, hands off. And I stopped dressing her from that day forward. I actually lasted longer. I think parents right now are talking, when parents come into my shop, I think it's like 5 or 6 that the child is no longer letting them dress. And I'm all about the choices, I'm like, and I give advice. I'm like, pick out the tights and then work the outfit around it, or pick out the main, the dress and let her accessorize. Like, let them be involved in it, in the choices, and it always bodes well for everybody. It makes the morning go easier. Let them be involved in the choice, but guide them. Easier said than done, at puberty, at adolescence. They don't want to listen to you anymore.
And they shouldn't, honestly, not when it comes to self-expression.
She's developing her own self-expression.
This is called individuation.
100%.
This is important. Especially if she's like you and she's creative and she's got opinions,
And she also doesn't have a ton of money, so she's trying to buy it on the cheap. I get it. But
tell me more about that.
Well,
I'm like the queen of Old Navy, so please stop me.
I don't know. To me, it took me years to develop this, but buy once. Like, I would rather every season, I have more clothes than I know what to do. Every season, I just buy 2 or 3 really great pieces, and you'll see me wear my dresses over and over again. You'll see, I got this little Valentino silk jumpsuit at a really great secondhand designer store out of London called Relux.
It looks
and
gorgeous, by the
I love
way.
it. I wear it
You
all
can't
the
see
time.
it.
I mix it. I wear the tops and not the bottoms, or you'll see me wear it again and again. I'm not too proud. What's the point of having something unless you're going to love it hard?
Yeah.
And with kids' clothes, it's like love it hard and then pass it down. That's why unisex fashion is so great, is because you can buy it for the brother and then give it to the sister, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I just think we have to be careful about it. That's something you teach your children by example. Us parents, I think, forget so often it's not what we say, it's what we do. And I've learned this the hard way, Sometimes I lose my temper with Marley. She loses her temper with people. She's learned that from me. That's learned behavior.
Also, it's human behavior.
It's human behavior. And I think, too, if they see you meditating every day, if they see you green juicing, if they see you putting healthy things in your body, yes, they'll go through their phase, but it will always be imprinted in them.
You know what was so
And
crazy?
they'll come back to it.
This morning we were dancing to Israeli music,
I love
and
it. I love it.
I couldn't believe, God, it was so good. It was and they're dancing and they're singing and they're and it was such an example.
It's joyful.
Oh,
That's joy.
God, it was
That's
such
joy. That's a moment of joy.
It was such a real moment of joy where we could connect. Who knows how long that's going to last? They're 4 and they're 6. But yeah, they really learned that piece of joy from me.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
You can't, there's no amount of talking about culture or what's important to us.
You have to experience it.
You got to
Do
experience it.
you go there often?
I've been to Israel many, many times. They haven't.
Oh, you've got
ever.
to bring them.
Though
How old are they again?
They're 4 and they're 6. But
Okay, yeah.
they went to a camp where there were a lot of Israelis. Lori, you're gonna love this. They and Paz, who's 4, she goes, "Mommy, there were a lot of people from Israel there." And I said, Saba and Safta, right?
Yeah.
Grandma and Grandpa. And she goes, "Yeah, and you." And I was like, "Oh no, I've confused my own child. I was born and raised in New York."
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how sort of they're swimming in this pride, this love, this all of it.
That's great.
And I think you're absolutely right. It
Yeah,
means
it's
something
leading by-
to them.
yeah,
It's
so
leading by example.
It's leading by example. So if they see mommy constantly shopping, and I'm not, this is probably the wrong advice for someone who owns a retail store to give. Let's just be real here for a minute.
Yeah, but you have this great
but-
offering where
but
you can send
I'm-
things, by the way, which I really
Yes.
love.
Oh, yeah.
I love that offering, and I'm going to take you up on it. Okay.
Yeah, the little red package. So I try to cut the guesswork out of it. And for busy moms, because I was a stylist for 20 years, like I can do this easy. I put together outfits. I send them the box. They try before they buy.
Thank you.
In the comfort of their own living room with a glass of wine in hand. They get dressed, they see it, they know it, and then they decide what they want to keep and and I send them the packing list with the prices. They can do it. There's no pressure. You're not in the store. You don't have a screaming child.
I have a screaming child.
You have
but I'm
48
not
hours
home.
to sit on it, and then you ship back the edits, and I only charge you for what you keep.
Amazing.
And it's a lot of my VIP customers are taking advantage of it, and I definitely feel like more people need to start shopping this way. We have to think about different ways, because dragging your kid into a store
my
is
kids
not
actually
fun for anyone.
My kids actually like going to stores
They
because
do?
they like
Oh,
shopping.
that's great. Oh,
no,
that's
I don't know
amazing.
how great that is. We go across the street to Five Below, and I'm like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. See, you got to get out of Five Below. Sorry, I've worked for them in the past. No offense, Five Below. No
Oh my
offense.
God.
No offense. You got to.
but offense.
It's pretty.
Listen,
bad.
we're naming
It's-
names
it's-
on this.
Okay.
podcast.
All right. It
We are
sucks.
naming
I'm
names.
Sorry.
It sucks. It's like she's sweating. Guys, you don't see her. She's sweating through her Valentina jumpsuit. It's not a jumpsuit. It's a two-piece.
Pajama suit.
Oh, it's very good. I don't mean to hurt
No,
you, sweet
it's
suit.
Okay.
No, I'm telling you. I
It's
am telling
bad.
you. Like I was approached by Shein, by the way, to be one of their
No,
influencers.
you can't. They're
and
so
I'm like,
bad.
I would love to be paid money, but
But
I
their
can't.
factories.
Tell us why. Tell us why.
Because their factories are horrible.
Yeah, so I had to say no because tell us why. We have
the
to tell the
labor
world.
is not in check. They've got children laborers. There's a lot of big companies that I can't remember, and I'm not going to say anything because I don't want
we already named
to
Five
speak.
Below
I know,
and Shein.
I know. I'm killing
and,
all of
and Old
I'm
Navy.
gonna
We're
get
killing their
so
business.
much
I'm
hate.
we're
I worked for
sweating.
Old Navy before the Gap,
And how
it was
cute are
and
their
it was
clothes.
wonderful back in the. It came out with the best intention, and Mickey Drexler really had it right. He was trying to offer a lesser priced fashion for people who couldn't afford. Here's what I want to say about all of that. It's all about supply and demand. If enough people demand organic, well-made, sustainable clothing, it will be produced, and it will be produced in bulk. Look at companies like H&M, like their conscious collection. Gap, God bless. I hope Richard Dixon does this, and I know him, so I'll talk to him about this. But they've got to have this offering. They have to. And once it's produced in large scale, it will be consumed by the masses. Look at organic foods. Okay, 20 years ago, nobody could afford it, right? A family of 5 had to go to McDonald's. Now you can get Stony Brook yogurt and a bunch of other really amazing items at Walmart, Costco. You look at Trader Joe's.
Love Trader Joe's.
How much do we love Trader Joe's?
You guys, everyone knows my shopping habits now. We're talking Trader Joe's, all the cheapies. However, Rent the Runway. I do Rent the Runway.
Which is amazing.
I am like the
Amazing.
queen of just wearing it
Amazing.
until it's dead, and then I send it back, and they have to wash it. But it
Yeah.
is amazing, and it's a
Yeah.
great price point. And
So we are going to get there
no,
with
we're
the price
getting,
point.
And listen, I'm your girl. I'm your girl.
Now,
Like I'm like really in it with 2 children who are dirty. Half the time, I don't want to. They grow out. Thank God, they're growing beautifully. They grow out of their things. They're 2 different genders. They enjoy 2 different styles. Money is what it is. It's a changing economy. So
And here's what I know. I've got moms that come to me saying, I have bought 2 snowsuits from Old Navy. They have both ripped. The zipper has broken. There's this, there's that, whatever. How much is your snowsuit? And I'm like, look, this one is on sale. Like it was $200, which is a lot, but we're talking all the bells and whistles. Recyclable nylons, it's got it's the bionic finish, no coating, it's super warm. That's top of the line. And when it goes to sale, it's like what, 160. Buy it a little big. You get 2 seasons out of it.
Or 3.
That's the trick. You have to be smart about how you're doing it.
I buy it
and then
big.
you pass it down to a friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And these last and last and last. You're
Yeah.
not buying twice as much because you're getting it right the first time.
And you're also accepting. Here's what I'm doing. Here, I'll tell you where I'm at. So for clarity's sake, Paz sometimes wears Honest diapers, and she sometimes wears the Huggies. We have a bunch of Old Navy, which looks so cute, and mostly hand-me-downs from Ness's friends. Because she
Amazing
enjoys-
if they make it that far and last that long. Amazing.
and from Ness,
Yeah.
who's 6. I've always bought big for them,
Yeah.
so that they're swimming in big clothes and they look so cute and little. They're like and then the next year it fits perfectly,
perfect.
and then it's a little bit snug, and so what if their ankles are showing?
Yeah.
So what if their belly button's showing? Like,
I think people are too
admirable,
precious
as they
with
say.
kids sizing to begin with.
Oh,
like
great.
I think you're doing exactly what I tell my parents to do. Buy it big, roll it. Well,
The Five Below addiction is-
no. But roll it up and then look, it's a dress one season. Pop a legging under it with a cardi, it's a tunic the next.
Yeah, and
Like,
are
they're
we
so-
waiting until it's a shirt?
Yeah.
I mean, and by we, I
Maybe.
mean me. Yes, yeah.
Why
I mean, why
not?
not? I don't know. Why not? They
I'm
love
not shaming anyone for shopping at those places too. I think that there's, like I said, there's quick fixes. Like I know a lot of good. I used to shop at Zara for Marley's clothes. I would hit the boys section because I thought they were better made.
Oh,
but
weird.
And then, and that changes. I don't know if that's even. But I would get those pieces there. But then I would go to my favorite stores in Manhattan at the time, and boutiques. And because I was a stylist, I always knew it was going to go towards my styling, like in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
even if she didn't wear it. And I would get her those key pieces, and it was the high-low.
Tell
It's
us
the mixing
more.
of the high-low.
Yeah, I want to give people some takeaways, and by people I mean me. Okay, so we're weaning off the Five Below addiction because the planet is begging us. We're on fire.
We can't keep supporting. These brands are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger the more we support them. If you want something to die, you have to stop feeding it.
Shein. Is that
You got to
I can
stop.
only
Guys,
say,
I
Yeah.
said no.
I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
only say Shein the way that they say it on Alabama Rush TikTok. Shane. My dress is from Shane. My anklets from my dead Mima. Thank
Hold on
you.
one
Rest
second.
in
My
peace.
dead Mima.
That's always
so I
all
have-
of those
I have-
OOTDs.
I have so much Shein clothes because like I've spent $100 and got 1,000 items.
Well,
do I throw them away?
No, because what I was just saying back before, it doesn't matter how it was made, you have to keep using it. At this point, you have to keep using it. We do not need to produce more. Like, it's like my boxes,
This
for
is an
instance.
important point because we're not saying like pause now, go to your.
No, I'm saying
go-
use them, wear them, love them to death and pass them down if you can.
Okay.
But going forward, educating your kids too about buying well, buying once. Like educate them about quality, fabric, fit, design. Educate them about that. It's just like you would educate them about food, culture, art, the theater. Like we're New Yorkers. Educate them. Like it's
Yeah.
all about teaching them. If they don't know that some child their age made that.
Wait, that is so horrific.
You know?
Yeah.
It happens.
I just saw a list, and
It's pretty horrific.
Shein was the only clothing company on the list. The rest were all oil companies
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
contributing to like the fire that this is, the world.
So can I
Yeah.
tell you? So when they reached out to me, it was like a weird. Was it like automated? I don't know. It was like really short, and I was like, okay, so what are your? I thought for sure if they're reaching out to me, I'm not like some huge celebrity. So I was like, okay, they're clearly trying to change their image, right? They also, I just assumed that they did some research on me. Like I'm a really thoughtful person.
They're like,
I'm
she's our number one customer.
Here's the thing. So what's really interesting is on one hand, I'm their number one customer, and that's what they probably looked at. And then on the other hand, forward facing, I'm like professionally thoughtful. Okay.
Yes,
Right. So
you are.
I thought, okay, so they are reaching out to me because they're changing their tune. I don't know. I'm getting
Maybe, you know what?
Wait.
Maybe, I hope
Wait.
that. Oh.
I asked them, what are your policies around sustainability and child labor laws? They didn't answer.
Radio silence.
Radio sounds.
Oh my
But
God.
then they followed up with me. Hey, what's your answer? We wanna work with you. And I was like, you didn't answer my questions. They were like, there's no answer to your question.
As in, the answer is no.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you're not doing that. I'm sorry.
I'm not doing that.
I will renege this podcast.
Oh
if
my
you do
God, I love you so much. Okay, so I wanna. We are wrapping up.
We're supposed to talk about motherhood, right?
I think you did a great job talking about motherhood. Unless you do want to tell us in your experience, by the way, in your 17 years of motherhood, how have things changed? You were telling us about social media was a big part of things, right?
And I do, listen, there's a ton of variables. I remember you asking me to come on and kind of talk to would-be moms that were maybe considering becoming moms. I would just say, ask the honest questions of yourself, of your partner, or if you don't have a partner, of your parents or whoever's helping you raise, who's going to do the heavy lifting. I was listening to this podcast, the CEO of Pepsi, she's amazing, Indra Nooyi, and she just a badass all the way around. And she was basically like, look, a working mom, for instance, it's you've got 1 foot on the brake and 1 foot on the accelerator at all times in your life. And if you're a woman, mostly it's on the brake. And no matter what, the bulk of parenting is going to fall on the mother's shoulders. So if you're not working and you know that you've got the means and the support, go for it. Just know that it's ever changing. There is no one size fits all to parenting and motherhood. And it could be a roller coaster. I had many easy years. COVID hit. She came in. She went into COVID at 13, came out at 15, and with the public high school instead of a private, learning differences high school. And honestly, we've had a tough season, a tough 2 years in our relationship. So I'm just coming out of that, and it's a marathon, parenting. You better really, really love it and want it and know this. It's a roller coaster and it's a marathon, and you will never sleep the same. But it's also one of the best illustrations of dealing with your shadow self.
Tell me more.
Well, the DNA is hard. It runs hard through our children. And I think in any family member, you see parts of yourself in that family member, especially your child. And it may be parts of yourself that you haven't fully come to terms with.
You
or
totally
that
banish or hate.
you don't love. Exactly. And in no other relationship is the mirror held up to you every single day as it is with a child, the good and the bad. And you better have learned to love yourself unconditionally first, because all relationships then will be a lot easier.
Well, is that a sort of
I'm not saying
set
that's
it and forget it? Because I think loving yourself, it's like
it's an ongoing process.
Right, that's the thing. It's like when I encounter, and let me tell you, a 6-year-old is not the same as a 17-year-old, and I have enormous
but a 3-year-old is.
No, but I have
with
an enormous
hormones.
amount of respect for the time you've put in and the many iterations of self you've witnessed in
It's
you
a
and
process,
in
yeah.
Mars, But I will say, like, as much as I love myself as an actress, great. I love myself as
you're
as
right.
a,
You're
as
right.
a partner. Oh,
You're right.
okay. I love myself as a friend. Okay, there are so many parts of myself. My son is like this fiery, like could be totally like bulldozing, like star. He's a total star, and I feel like, oh, did I really love myself? That part of me, like to see it. My daughter's this like really feminine, soft, sweet cut. Did I love myself as that child?
Yeah.
Who was that way with my mother and got what she
Yeah,
needed and didn't get what
right.
she needed? I mean, there are just like so many me's that need love.
Yeah. No, and it is an ongoing process. That is actually I didn't mean that to sound like a negative. It meant to be like a plus. That is what motherhood has brought me, is the shadow came up, you're dealing with it, you're looking at it every day, you're understanding it more. And it is one of the beauties of parenting. I don't think in any other relationship are you going to get that. Wow. Not with a boyfriend, not with a husband, not with a girlfriend, not with a partner. You're not going to get that.
And not if you're alone also, right?
And exactly.
Yeah.
You really learn so much about yourself. And look, it is one of the beauties of parenting is it's only one day at a time.
Yeah.
From the day you bring them home, I always tell the new moms, I'm like, don't freak out. It's one day at a time. You've got every day to start fresh and to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or just to be like, can we curse on this? No.
Yeah, we can.
Or just be like, fuck it. Like,
Today's
I
a
don't
TV
know.
day.
I don't.
You know?
I don't know what's going on. Let's kind of muddle through it together.
You know what I did this morning, by the way? I know we're not supposed to bribe our children's and children's, because I'm doing great. Or go to Five Below, because that's exactly what Five Below is. It's all bribery.
bribery.
Meanwhile, I have
That
dealt so
actually
deep
is a
in-
good, or like the gift bags at the birthday parties.
Yeah, I'm
But
sorry.
I always used to give a book. So boring.
God, you're my hero. You
boring.
just stuck with it.
I always
I
gave
was
a
that
book. I hate the bag full of plastic shit. Bugs me to no end.
Also because like it's just garbage in my house.
Yes.
My car. It's just
Yes.
garbage in my life. It's garbage in my planet. But on some level I'm thankful for it because like it's kept my kids quiet and happy for like I don't know an hour or so. But
An hour or so.
listen, an hour is a long time. in
Okay,
my
all right.
life.
Yeah, actually, true. That's like light years. You're right.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
But as honest as I'm being, like we have to think about the long haul. We do. We do. And I'm glad that you're bringing this up because
Yeah.
Paz is having her 4th birthday pretty soon, like in a couple weeks. I'm not gonna give a goodie
Oh
bag.
my
And I actually
gosh.
don't even want to put it together.
How many kids are coming?
15?
Go out and get the book like Gt Pyr Architect, or
Oh.
go out and get. How much do you love that book? Right? It's the best.
And it's like a real gift to
like
kids.
Or but by the time you add up the bags, the toys, and all of like how much does it work out to be?
And my time, babe.
$5,
My
$6
time.
bucks. Yeah, and your time.
I gotta talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
We are all time poor. So
Yeah.
I am time destitute. And unfortunately, so is this episode.
Oh man, we could talk
this
to you
was
forever.
so much fun.
Mindy, we have to have you back on.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Hey, you're doing a great
We
job.
could talk
Thanks
about-
on behalf of all of us and the planet.
Yeah,
I'm
we got
gonna-
a lot of topics. I've got a lot of in my bag. We got a lot of topics to talk.
Well, I actually just want to tell you that I'm gonna be ordering those boxes.
The
by
Little Red
way.
Planet. Yeah, I'm gonna hook you up.
I can't wait.
Gonna hook you up.
Anything we missed?
We're having a sample sale this weekend for anyone in the Hamptons. It starts tomorrow. In fact, I've got to go prep for it right now.
Okay, great.
You can see me with my head on fire. All of my sales help has left for the summer, so
Yeah. End
Back
of
to
August.
school.
Thanks for taking the time.
this was so amazing. I love both of you to pieces. I'm so grateful. What a little treat this was. I felt like it was a therapy session.
Oh, I felt like it was a coaching session around sustainability.
Or
which, by the way, I
we needed
very
this.
badly.
And this is, I also think that we should, we'll condense a list because you really
Okay.
gave so much that we can give a tangible takeaway for listeners. What does motherhood mean to you?
Yeah, I think, okay, motherhood to me, I mean, it's just all about love, loving yourself in that moment, loving your child in that moment, it's the overarching emotion and emotive no matter what the day brings. And just kind of like finding the joy. That's why we do it. That's why we become parents. It's supposed to be joyful. Don't forget it. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, as always, for listening to the Mom Curious podcast. My name is Daniella Rabbani. I am your host, and I would love to continue this conversation at Daniella Rabbani on Instagram. And if you'd be so kind to rate and review, share this podcast, I would be just really grateful. Catch you next time, every Tuesday on the Mom Curious podcast. Produced by Hoff Studios. You can find them at Hoff Studios on Instagram as well. All right, have a great day.